Here's a quick addendum to our, well, creating vectors. I totally forgot about creating a heap vector of a custom object. What you're going to notice is the highlights. First of all, as soon as I use the new keyword, that means I'm using the heap. It's that simple. Now, I get a lot of great questions about, when should I be using the heap? And when you know, number one, with a custom object, it's a little bit bigger. But if you know the array, or vector in this case, is going to be a decent size, I'm going to say 100 or so. I'm honestly, if you don't know the size of it, I would use a heap. Like in data structures, I teach data structures as well, as you know. And frankly, you don't know how large you're going to be, then you better use the heap. You better use this version of creating a vector. If you know it's going to be rather small, then probably a stack will be just fine. But notice the other ways that we went over in the previous video were all stack. They were all using a stack. They were local. They were kind of small. But as soon as I use a new, I am using the heap. And frankly, this is a safer one when I know that I don't know exactly what the size of the array is going to be, but it's going to be big. Or vector in this case. I keep saying array. Notice the contents of how this works out definitely changes. I've talked about the new. How I access some of the functions that we've already described before is slightly different, and you've actually seen this before. I use an arrow for it because I'm using it with it dynamically. Leave it at that. What I'm going to go over in more detail here, literally in a moment, is I am also going to use what's called an iterator to go through the dynamic or the heap version of this particular vector or of any of the other STLs that happen to be heap as well. They'll work on them as well. Here would be the overall for loop to get through that. Notice begin and end and some of the other functions that we've got here. Again, I'm going to go through all of that here in a moment. So notice there is a big difference when it comes to the coding. Notice it's instead of using dot notation, it's an arrow, but also fundamentally, there's going to be a difference why would we use this? For data structures, when you're going to have a bunch of data piled in there, you better use this one. Let's just put it that way. So that's going over and creating our heap version of a vector for custom objects.